is Happy New Year, everyone. I'm so glad everyone made it into the new year. And if you haven't noticed, I cut my hair. I don't know if this is a yay or a nay. I literally can't say for sure, but I actually think I like my hair low like this. I mean, my hair was growing seriously long and it was just beginning to become a hassle to look after. Anyway, today's video is for all the artists, especially beginner artists who are just starting their career in art, and even artists who have been practicing art for a while now. I know it's a new year, so everyone is going to be super excited and motivated to begin or continue their art journey, and some of this motivation is definitely going to come from looking at other artists' work which you really admire, and you probably want to make your own art as good as that, or at least similar to that skill level, or you just want to become as successful as the artist you admire, which in itself appears to be a very good thing and a great mindset to have. But as we all know, appearances can be deceiving. Sometimes innocent, simple things that should naturally be good for us can somehow turn into a dreadful headache in the long run, especially when we don't see the results we expect and things just don't work out how we planned it in our heads. Which ultimately brings us to the topic of this video. I'm sure every artist has heard this tip or art advice, if you will, which is to take inspiration from other artists' work and compare your art with other artists' work. And artists could be artists you admire or artists that are your peers in a group or like a Discord community, and it could even be just random artists online which you see their work and you literally just want to compare how far you have gone in your own work with theirs, since comparing your work can be a good way to track your progress and to see if you're improving or not. But from what I've noticed, it seems comparing your work with others is doing the reverse effect on some artists, and instead of motivating them to continue making art, it's making them feel like they can never reach the level of the artist they're comparing themselves with at all. Now, this was even much more apparent in a video I made last year where I showed art progress from some young artists from when they were age 5 till when they got to age 13 and 14, and I started seeing comments like, honestly, I can't understand how people get motivated looking at someone's success, especially when that person is so much younger than you. It's devastating and makes me want to break my arms more than anything. I find this stuff kind of discouraging. I saw a video where there is no way of checking that what he is saying is true. Someone showed their progress from 5 to 14 and his drawings are 1,000 times more accurate in shading, anatomy, and everything than mine are. I am 19 and stopped drawing between 11 to 17. And now I feel like I am always behind these guys just because I stopped, and that there is no way of catching up, getting better than them. And I know that this isn't a bad thing and everyone betters himself on his own speed, but it still hurts. I would feel so discouraged with my progress because I did the thing, compared myself to others all the time. So from these few comments, you can literally tell that there is definitely a problem here. There is a common theme going on here, and I didn't even have to scroll all the way down to see that most other artists in the comments were also complaining that comparing their work with others was ruining their mental health and mostly just leaving them uninspired and unmotivated to even pursue art anymore. How did comparing your art with other people's art become so discouraging to artists? The website Urban Dictionary defines comparism as an examination of two or more items to establish similarities and dissimilarities. As humans, comparison is a huge part of our lives and just our daily activities in general. We're always comparing items when we're shopping, buying food in a restaurant, comparing gas prices, comparing clothes to see which suits you better, or even just comparing two people's behavior and attitude. Comparing things is literally a normal thing that every person does, and artists are definitely not left out. Both new artists and experienced artists often compare their work to other artists, especially the ones they admire a lot, or even with their old work, just to see how far they have come and also to see if they're improving or not. And sometimes artists compare their work when they're trying to find similarities with an art style they're probably trying to adapt. Comparison is pretty important, especially when you're trying to grow and develop as an artist. And you probably have heard art teachers or professional artists giving younger artists advice to compare their work with other artists, especially really good ones, just solely for this reason most of the time. Even just as a consumer of art or an art enthusiast, you're still comparing what art style is more attractive between Loish and Sam Does Art. Who has a better Instagram account between Sayarine, rossdraws, and likelihoodart? And you're definitely trying to compare who's the best Spider-Man between all three of them. But we all know who that is, right? The point is we're always comparing and contrasting and choosing sides depending on which suits our individual tastes or satisfies a particular need at a specific time. Comparison is part of every artist's growth process, from understanding where you are in your work, then comparing your work with your peers to see what you have to do to improve, to find changes you have to make in your work to make you become a better artist, or just to find techniques you can learn and adapt in your work to make your art style pleasing or to push your work to look a certain way or a certain direction. Just in itself, comparison is pretty much harmless from an unbiased point of view, and it's mostly always beneficial to the person doing the comparison. But as human beings, things always begin to get blurry along the lines when emotions get involved. Since this video is specifically talking about comparison in art, I'm just going to strictly keep it in that genre and not talk about comparison in general, because it's a really broad topic and we could literally just spend hours talking about why comparing your life with Kylie Jenner is going to send you into a manic depression if you didn't know that already. So first, let's start with the pros of comparison. Comparing your work with your peers or your friends or other artists that are starting art alongside you is a very good way to track your progress and gauge how far you are improving with your work. Even just comparing your old art with your new art is a good way to see how fast you are improving or how far you have come with your work, and it just goes a long way to show you what you should be focusing on if you're trying to improve your work. I know some of you are going to say, "Oh Mohammed, I have been drawing for a while. I can't see any improvements in my work. I have been drawing for so long, but I'm still stuck in the same place." Trust me, you are improving. It's just probably at a slower rate than you would expect, but definitely you are improving if you keep on practicing daily and just repeating the fundamentals in everything you do. Another importance of comparing your work with other artists' work is to see the mistakes they're making in their own work and try to cross-check your own work and see if you're making similar mistakes as well. And I know that's probably going to be kind of hard, right? Since you can't spot a mistake in an already perfect image, especially when it's from a professional artist. So the best way to do that will be to go through your own work and then look for areas that feel weird or just look wonky, and then compare that with a professional artist's work and see how they tackle those similar situations in their work. Comparing your work with other artists' work is also a good way to find trends and themes that are kind of popular and cool at the moment, and you're trying to grow your art account and build an audience around your art. Looking at other artists and comparing their art accounts with yours is a good way to see what kind of themes they are using to grow their accounts. Then you can find a way to incorporate them in your own account when you're drawing to help you grow faster. And these themes could be fan art or drawing challenges or other different things that come up from time to time that could help you promote your art for free. For instance, the draw this in your style is a very popular trend that a lot of artists have participated in. And from what I've noticed, it has helped quite a number of smaller artists with exposure and just helped them grow their accounts, especially when you participate in a bigger artist draw this in your style. And whenever that artist shares the work and yours happens to be in there, you're going to gain some exposure just from that small little gesture. So you can find similar challenges like this if you're trying to grow your art account and participate in them from time to time. On the contrary, Comparing your work with artists that are far better than you can also have negative side effects on your mental health. When you start to compare your work with another artist and it begins to become an obsession to the point where you're literally thinking about his work at every given opportunity and you're just letting it consume you, sometimes you just begin to lose focus of your own work and then start blaming yourself that you can never be as good as the other artist. You slowly begin to despise them unknowingly, and then you just start to hate them or hate their work every time they make a post or just share a random drawing online. This unhealthy comparison is usually caused by setting unrealistic expectations for yourself, thinking you can become as good as the artist you're comparing yourself with in a short amount of time, totally forgetting that art takes time and tons of practice, and some of the artists we see and admire have been drawing for years before becoming super good at their work. Thinking you can reach that level of work without going through the process like they have is just going to leave you hanging out to dry. Comparing your work with other artists, especially if they're younger than you, from what I observed in the comments from my last video, sadly also leads to artists beginning to undermine themselves, feeling depressed, and thinking they should be as good as the younger artists they're comparing their work with, if not even better. Sometimes things happen in life which can cause you to stop drawing for a while, and there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, it will hinder your growth and progress with your art for some time, but that's just how life is. You can't expect other people to go through life experiencing life the same way as you. So comparing yourself with others is just going to make you lose self-esteem, and then all of a sudden you just begin to feel less of yourself and inferiority complex slowly creeps in. Emotions are one of the driving factors to how we perceive things. Take for instance, you see a cute baby, a dog, a cat, or D'Angelo Wallace. You smile and laugh and show joyful emotions because you just saw things that make you happy. But if you see this or this guy, your emotions immediately change and you just want to smash your keyboard into your face, or the opposite way around. Which is why the term "don't let your emotions control you" is pretty important. Now, when it comes to art, or specifically comparison in art, emotions are a lot more tricky and complex. From simply admiring an artist's work and using it for inspiration or motivation whenever they post a new drawing, you slowly begin to feel pressured every time you see their work, and then you begin to lose self-esteem and appreciation for your own art. People gradually begin to feel unhappy about their own work, and this just doesn't happen automatically overnight. It builds up slowly with time and with constant comparison, especially when you're not considering the differences you and the person you're comparing your work with have in not just art but in life in general, which should have been something everyone should be thinking about in the first place. And this is not just an issue only artists suffer from. As it stands, a lot more people have experienced depression from social comparison since the creation of social media platforms. This study on how social comparison affects mental health negatively on the Malibu World-Class Treatment for Mental Health, Substance Abuse and Alcoholism website stated, "It is very common for people to feel sad or inadequate about their own lives after scrolling through social media for a few minutes. Studies have confirmed that Facebook can cause feelings of depression and loneliness, especially among younger people who may be more vulnerable to social comparison. One of the issues with social media is that people only share a portion of their lives to the public and may leave out some of their more negative experiences." And this is very true, since most people only post the best moments or the best pictures, or for artists the best drawings, and don't show you the thousands of sketches it took for them to be able to understand what they're drawing. And they don't even show you the drawings they made and immediately hated because they were just so terrible and not up to par with the rest of the images that they have been posting on their platforms. This just immediately creates a false illusion of what a person is going through on a daily basis, causing people who don't understand this to begin to believe that people are living their lives aesthetically just like how their Instagram feed looks like. Negative social comparison can become difficult to avoid on social media as you view moments from other people's relationships, family life, and seemingly perfect lives. People can turn their social media feed into a highlight reel even if it is done unintentionally and make others feel that their lives are inferior. Spending too much time on social media, engaging in social comparison can quickly lead to feelings of depression. Comparison is good, and I believe every artist should compare their work with other people's work, but don't become too focused in comparing your work with others that you begin to forget the main reason why you started. The best form of comparison is comparing your new work with your old work. And remember, kids, your only competition is yourself. And if you see a younger artist's work that inspires you, don't let it bring you down. Cheer up and be happy for them. Some people always get a head start earlier than others. The best thing to do is to start when you can and don't let anything stop you. Anyways, I'm glad we all made it to the new year. I'm super excited about all the videos we're going to make this year. If there's literally anything you want me to talk about or any situation you've seen on Twitter or Instagram, you can just send me a DM on Twitter. The links to my socials are down in the description. And if you have any suggestions or video topics and ideas you want me to talk about as well, you can also leave them in the comment section. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video and you found the video helpful, please leave the video a like and share it with your friends, family, your lost cat that never came back home to you and you've still been waiting for it and looking for it everywhere but you haven't found it. Share the video with him or her and subscribe to my channel if you're new here. I'll see you next week, and once again, Happy New Year. Peace.